everybody, for episode 2 of The Next Great Read. My name is Misty Shea. I am the principal. I'm not. I'm the librarian at Central High School. And I am joined by 2 other amazing librarians.
Hi, I'm Lauren Stetler. I'm the librarian at Keller Middle School.
And hi, it's Carrie Harris from Hillwood Middle School, and I'm also not the principal.
Oh, hashtag not the principal. That's going to be my new hashtag. Okay, so this week we have 6 new books that we are super excited to tell you about, and we might even have a guest visitor today. So let's cross our fingers that their schedule works with ours. Maybe they're on a whole different continent. I don't even know.
So before you ladies jump in and start talking books, just a quick reminder for our audience. This is Audrey Wilson Youngblood. I'm going to be moderating the chat today. So please drop in where you're from, what your grade level is. I see a lot of folks already in the chat, which is awesome.
Yay!
And if you have any questions, and I will ask the ladies your questions. If you can't see the chat, click on your profile in the upper right-hand corner and click Create Channel. It's weird, we know, but you have to have a channel technically to be able to participate in the chat. Have fun.
Also, guys, this week, the theme on the slides reflects back to Mother's Day that we just got to celebrate. And so all of the slides have pictures of our own children in them. You're welcome.
Okay, I get to go first. Okay, so I just finished Forged in Fire and Stars. I am going to do my best to give you a rundown on this one. This one is a really complex fantasy. So it opens with a kingdom that is being invaded. Words. This kingdom is being invaded, and you're following this guy who is the loresmith, and he is killed in this battle, and he is the main character's father. Also, during this time, the prince and princess, who are twins of this kingdom that is being invaded, are smuggled out. So they're 3 at this time, and they're being smuggled out. So fast forward to present in the book, and Ara is the main character, and it is her fate that she has been told that she is to become the next loresmith. So a loresmith is has been blessed by the gods, and they are smiths. They make weapons, and they're kind of enchanted weapons to help defeat their enemies. And but they have to be approved by the gods. They have to be chosen. And so the prince and princess come out of hiding. They come and get her, and they're going on this really crazy journey, meeting all sorts of different creatures and gods along the way, to be able to get Ara to become the next loresmith, to be accepted by the gods, so they can go forward and try to bring up an uprising and take their kingdom back. I hope that all made sense. Like I said, there's so much to it, but I love it because this is the first in a series, which means a ton of world building. And I find that fantastic. If an author does it really well, you can really see what's happening and where they are. This one felt a lot like Rebel of the Sands. So if you've read that one was a lot of fun. And I think we have our visitor here.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Misty, unshare your screen so we can see who it is.
I was too shocked. Hold on.
I see myself.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm just trying to figure out where's my picture. Oh, start my video. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh
there she
gosh!
is. Welcome.
Oh, I should fix my lights.
That's amazing.
No.
Now we can see your face.
So we are welcoming April Henry tonight. Thank you so much for joining us, and it's such last minute.
Well, I tried to join last night, so I was really ahead of the game.
We're just really excited. I'm so glad. So
swoon. So apologize. I'm not trying to be creepy. I'm just swooning. So keep going. Okay.
We have to understand, a lot of our kids that are coming on tonight know exactly who you are, because I don't know about the rest of y'all's libraries, but her books are never on my shelves.
Right.
They look are always checked out, always on hold. They love your books. So
All right. I want to make readers. That's my main goal in life.
You have, when they come in and want to know a mystery, I'm like, let's go to the H's. Come on, follow me.
you got to hope they're there, though. That's the tricky part.
You're right.
We'll keep ordering more copies. So, all right. So tonight we were looking at your book, Run, Hide, Fight Back, which I had the privilege of reading this week. And so would you like to give us a little rundown on that?
Sure. I even have my prop, my copy.
Love that.
Run, Hide, Fight Back got its start when I started thinking, it was partly the terrorist attacks in Paris, and partly, I don't know if you guys heard about the Kenya mall shootings or saw the documentary. So there was this horrific thing where these terrorists in Kenya took over a mall, and then they made a documentary about it. And because it was a mall, like they could interview someone, and then they would show the thing that they were talking about happen. So they would say, like, I tried to hide behind the Verizon kiosk, and then they would show the footage of the person trying to hide behind the Verizon kiosk. And then the person who was already there, like, didn't want them there. They didn't want to share. So I wrote the book. It was going to come out. Not when it came out. It was going to come out. And then I was traveling doing school visits. I think I was in Kansas or something. And I got a call, and Parkland had just happened. And they were worried because people die from being shot in that book. And it's not graphic though, but they were worried that it would have too much similarity to Parkland. And I was like, but it's not, it's about terrorists. It's not about a high school person coming to a high school with a gun and shooting people. It's about a mall, adults, terrorists. But I was overruled, and the book ended up not coming out for another 15, 16 months. And wow. It was all bad timing because, like, School Library Journal had given it an excellent review. But then if you went and tried to buy the book when the review came out, it said it was unavailable. It didn't even have a publication date on it. And I could not, I don't know, it felt bad because it kind of felt like it fell a little bit through the cracks. So another part of the book was inspired by when I was in high school and college. My dad was a Jackson County commissioner in Oregon, and there is a right-wing group called Posse Comitatus, and they don't believe in any level of government above a sheriff, and they're a right-wing white nationalist organization. And they called our house, and when my dad answered the phone, they said, "We're gonna come and kill you." And then they called the sheriff, and they said the same thing. And all the sheriff really did was to tell my dad that he should think about getting a gun. And my dad actually talked about it, and it was kind of like my dad talking about getting a kangaroo. It just didn't fit. So, but luckily he was never attacked or anything. The same group was kind of similar to the Order, which did kill people. And, was related, had similar beliefs to like Timothy McVeigh and stuff. My dad always said that they didn't like the government, and then they did things that made the government come after them. Like they decided that license plates were wrong and bad, and it was a sign like Satan was, I don't know, they just didn't like license plates. So then they made their own homemade license plates. Well, any cop who's driving around and sees you driving around with a license plate on your car that's clearly homemade is going to pull you over and cite you for not having the correct license plate. So anyway, the whole thing was very bizarre. But I really like how this book turned out. I liked my characters. I liked the twists. It was an interesting book to research. Anyway, I liked the way it all turned out. And I think it's actually selling pretty well despite all of the delay and the reviews either not happening or happening when you were being told you couldn't get a book. So So that's my spiel.
Yeah.
Well, one of the I was just gonna say, one of the things I know I read about you, and I've seen you in other interviews, you research extensively for
Yeah.
your book.
Yeah.
And one of the kids in the chat right now is curious as to your world building, and I think world building is almost the wrong term, just only because you write mostly realistic fiction. You're building a real world, but you do a lot of research into your books to get the facts right. Can you tell us
Right.
about that?
Yeah, I can
world
see
building?
it's Embry, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so here I'll just maybe talk through what I'm doing now, because I can talk about that really accurately since I'm in the middle of it. You guys are in Texas, right? I was in Nebraska last February and at this literary conference, and we got a blizzard blew in, and we were all going to be stranded in this creepy old Ramada Inn version of The Shining for like 4 or 5 days. Like you couldn't get out. The hotel didn't even serve food other than continental breakfast. And it was very strange, and it just looked like it was haunted. So I started almost immediately. I thought, I want to write a book about 2 groups of teens who are stuck in a creepy old hotel that they end up coming upon while they're going someplace else, and the blizzard forces them off the road. So let's see, I tried to decide what groups of teens might be there. And then I thought, oh, what if they were actors going to an acting competition? So then I started wanting to know more about how acting competitions work, because I haven't acted since I was like in 9th grade. And I found this great video, I have it around here someplace, that it was a documentary that was made in 2010 about an acting competition in Florida. And I spent all this time watching it and taking notes about the students and what they did and how they acted, and just some funny lines they had. And then I actually found one of them now. Like now she's 28 and she's living in Italy, but she's answering all my questions about how to acting competitions work. I thought about who are some other creepy people I could have at the hotel, like a bank robber, a drug dealer, a person who's smuggling illegal immigrants. And then I started thinking, what if you had some undocumented migrants in the back of your big rig and this blizzard blew in and you left them in there? Like, would they freeze to death, or would there be enough warmth in there? I don't want to kill a bunch of people. So I actually have an email out right now to somebody who is a paramedic and a firefighter, and he knows a ton of people. And I was like, how can I put people in this truck and not have them die? So hopefully he'll get back to me. I decided I wanted to do something fun, like having a Ouija board. So I've been Googling stories of, people, supposedly true stories about Ouija boards, but I just thought it would be a fun trope to throw in there.
Just don't buy one. Does all the stories say don't do it in your house?
Yeah. So for the Run, Hide, Fight Back, what are some of the things I did? I did a bunch of reading on domestic terrorists and their beliefs. It was really interesting reading Timothy McVeigh's writings. He was extremely intelligent and not even all that illogical. You would think it would be more it's crazy sounding, but it wasn't that crazy sounding. He really felt he was in a war and that you had to do certain things in war that were bad, but it was all to the greater thing. It was just surprising to me that he made as much sense or didn't sound as crazy. I researched suicide vests and how those work. Like people usually have to hold something and it's kind of like a dead man switch. So if you let go of that, that would cause your suicide vest to go off. I researched, I wanted to have Run, Hide, Fight Back also be part, there was another crime that was going on. And I was looking for something and I read about this crazy gold heist in Florida. And I almost used that whole thing in the book, that all that stuff really happened, but it happened in, the truck was driving from from Florida to North Carolina, and they hit it in North Carolina. I looked at, I went to my local mall. I can almost always talk anybody into letting me do anything. I'll just show them books and give them a business card. And so I wanted them to let me see this security corridors or the stuff in the back, the private corridors only for the people who work there, you know, where they wheel things in and out of. And I was told no. And I was told this was private property and I needed to leave. And I even had like books and a business card, and they just were very suspicious. They just were not trustworthy. I've had pretty good luck just finding people and asking them. Like, I wanted to know about how the locking systems worked in a mall. And I Googled and found some company that was like, we will supply all your mall security needs for doors. And then I will usually just email their customer service thing and say, hey, I have a really weird question. Like, how can I make this work? And so this guy who worked at the security door company, he was the CEO and he was answering my questions about how to lock and unlock these doors. Now, sometimes people don't answer. I did ask these people who had they had a treadmill that generated electricity. And I said, this is fictional, but if I had a captive on there, how much electricity could they generate? Like, could they power their own lights and stuff? And they never answered me. They probably turned me into somebody, but I'm just a really good Googler. And so I will try and find things. And I always try and think of, for world building, you know, you don't necessarily need to build your whole world and then write your book. I think you build it as you go along. You figure out what you need, and you might need to go back and rewrite. Like the thing I'm working on right now, I realized that, nobody's seen the handyman. And so when I'm going to have him appear, it will seem kind of random. So I just wrote a few sentences where he's in a corner of this hotel mopping up the water that they tromped in, so that he's not going to feel like he just came out of nowhere when he shows up later. In terms of perfectionism, she says, I often struggle with reading due to perfectionism, but I'm assuming she means writing. Because, I mean, I actually am a picky reader and I will put books down if I feel like they're inaccurate. But in terms of writing, I think it's a huge struggle right now to write. And so one of the things that I've been doing is setting a timer for 5 minutes. Once I know basically who's in my story and some tiny thing that needs to happen, and I will write as fast as I can for 5 minutes. I tell myself I'm not writing the words, I'm just watching them appear on the screen. And then I do a word count after the alarm goes off, and I'll see, I just keep track. Like the best I've done so far is 216 words in 5 minutes. What? And I just work as fast as I can to try and get out of the part of my head that is commenting that something's not very good. You can always edit crap and you can't edit nothing. So it's better to write something bad and make it better later. And a lot of times it's not as bad as you thought. So.
If I'm not mistaken, was today supposed to be book birthday for Girl in the White Van?
Oh my gosh, you're right. I forgot that. Yes.
I tried to go ahead and I was like, oh, that's not the right publication date.
Yeah, no, you're right. Wow. I was like writing in a journal today and I put down April 12th. I was like, it's all such a big blur anymore. Yes, that's why today feels familiar. Yeah, I was also supposed to be in Georgia today too, doing school events. So yeah, the Girl in the White Van, there was a real kidnapper who was stalking my neighborhood, and he had already kidnapped one girl from a tanning salon, and she jumped out of the van all duct tape up and managed to escape. And then he ended up having a gun battle with the school resource officer in front of my martial arts studio and was killed. And they found notes on him for girls that he had been watching and thinking about whether to take them. And it was so creepy. And I originally thought I'm going to have him, because I thought, what if a girl was leaving the noon class and the police confronts him and he uses her as a hostage? Well, almost immediately when I did my research, I realized that the police won't let you leave with a hostage. They know it's not going to be better for the hostage wherever they get taken, that there's something bad's going to happen to them. They'll probably be killed. So they will not let that happen. And I don't like to have things happen that don't, it doesn't have to be the thing that would only happen, but it has to be plausible. So then I had to make it that she disappears, someone takes her after class and no one sees her, and it's presumed that she's run away. And so I did talk to the person who's in charge of runaways at our school district to ask them, well, here's some thoughts I thought my character could have about that. And so she was like, wow, this sounds just like the things that I deal with all the time, other than they're not about kidnapping, they're about runaway kids. But yeah, that book, it's still coming out. It's just not coming out till July 28th. I think they wish they could have pushed back all the April books as well, because it was just, April was just pandemic. And those books really didn't get very much traction. And there was I have a couple of Twitter friends that was their very first book came out. And then you could see them on Twitter kind of freaking out, more and more desperately trying to say like, I have a book. And you think, wow, I mean, it's spoiled a lot of things for a lot of people. So,
Yeah.
But I'm glad I was able to push back, even though I feel like probably the next year and a half are going to be funky, and who knows what it's going to be like.
I'm sure it'll be, people are still going to want to try to get their hands on that book one way or another, audio or
Right.
It's on my TBR. So I actually was like looking at my TBR today and I'm like, oh, that looks so good.
It was really fun to do the research on. I have the character is a big fan of Bruce Lee. So I went to the Luke Wing Museum up in Seattle. They have a whole thing dedicated to Bruce Lee. We went to his grave. If you watch his screen test, I think it's on YouTube, he was just the most charismatic person. I can see why he was a star. And I read, there's a biography of him that's really good by Matthew Polly. I read that. And then it turned out that this guy who's a movie producer, who's Option Girl Stolen, he actually worked with Bruce, or he interviewed Bruce Lee for what's that old TV show? Little Grasshopper and Kung Fu, right?
Yeah, something like that.
He actually, they looked at Bruce Lee to star in Kung Fu instead of Keith Carradine or David Carradine, whichever Carradine it was. But they decided he had too strong of an accent. So, but he said that when he met with Bruce Lee, he was running, and this is people had never seen martial arts really. And he was running around in this room and leaping up and kicking something at the top of the door frame and spinning and doing a whirling back fist. And the execs are just sitting there like, oh my gosh, what is all this?
That's really fun though. And you probably wrote that again, very accurately, because you do, what kind of martial arts do you do?
I did used to do Kung Fu, and now I just do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I've also done Kachikembo. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is like wrestling though. I don't think that's coming back for a long time. And I was teaching it, but it's so close, even if you're wearing masks.
Yeah.
I think it's going to need to wait till there's a vaccine, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'm getting older, my knees are getting older, and I don't.
Okay.
All right. Well, is there any other questions I could answer for you guys, or
do you have anything else in the chat, or
anything else? What?
I was asking Audrey if you have anything else in the chat that is gone through.
She's our moderator.
Yeah. It takes. Here you go. No more questions.
Right.
Okay.
Cool. Yay.
Okay.
Go out and get all of April Henry's books. That is an order. Now, all right. I'll tell your parents I said that.
And thank you for wishing me a happy book birthday. That was
Yes,
fun.
early. I'm gonna find you on Twitter in July and I'll be like, I got your book birthday.
It's
All
your
right,
book's
see you guys
birthday
later.
today, I guess. Thank you so much, April.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh my gosh, my heart is pounding. I love authors. I'm sorry. I'm not apologizing.
She
Okay.
was just here for us and us only. It was awesome.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm going to share my screen so we can get on to some other books. We are going to skip her book. But let's see what's next. All right. Maybe.
Okay, that's my little cutie there. That's Avalie.
Hold on. Come on. There it goes. Oh, me. Yay! More Miss Shay. You're welcome. All right. That's Nixon. He loves putting raspberries on his fingers. He thinks it's great. Okay. So Two Can Keep Her Secret. Karen McManus is the author of One of Us is Lying and One of Us is Next. She is like, to me, becoming one of those mystery queens as well. And I like Two Can Keep a Secret because it's a standalone. You didn't need to read One of Us is Lying or any of her other books. It's its own book. So it's really awesome because Ellery has to move in with her grandma in this little town. And it's pretty much like her and her brother they've been kept out of this town for their whole lives just because their mom just like hates her hometown. Like, it's so lame. Why would I go back there? But it's super weird because she like never talks about it and nothing. And so her and her twin brother have to go live in this town with their grandma for a while. And it's super mysterious. And then she starts finding things about her mom. And then her mom had a twin sister that died. And then all of a sudden, what happened when her mom's twin sister died back in the day starts happening again. Like, people start getting threats. The prom queen's gonna get, attacked. It's just awesome. It's a great whirlwind. The main character winds up befriending the brother of the guy who supposedly killed her mother's sister. It's really great. I love all McManus's plot twists, and I seriously I can read pretty fast, but I did read this in a day. I liked it that much. But it was just really cool. I really liked it. It was fun. But yeah, and I know it's on our Sora, and I know it is also on the Fort Worth Libby if you want to get an ebook, if you are quarantined at home and afraid to go outside.
Okay, this is going to sound really dumb. I knew the title was Two Can Keep a Secret, but I didn't notice on the cover it says If One is Dead. That just kind of made me chuckle.
But they're not wrong.
I like it. I just didn't notice it, and I was like, oh, hey, look at that.
All right, so everybody else has these cute little young children, and mine are adults, but they get a spotlight here as well because they're my babies. So this is Shane, and he's my youngest, and he is here to show you about the book Contagion. Contagion has gotten this huge amount of talk among the librarians because it was being looked at to make our Keller ISD book list, and it did make it because it's so amazing. And so as it shows over there with Shane saying it, it's like Alien meets The Walking Dead. And for those of you who are not older like me, maybe you've forgotten what Alien is, but it was a movie where they had to go out into space, and they were rescuing a ship that had been in distress. Oh, do that again, Misty. That's it. You're spoiling the ending of the movie.
The alien came out of his shirt. Okay, keep going.
This is before my time out. I'm checking out.
Right. So, shush. So, anyway, they go, oh, Lord. And we're off. And so, anyway, that's what the movie was about, going off into space and rescuing these people. And of course, we all are familiar with Walking Dead zombies, but it takes place in space on a planet that they're mining. And all of a sudden, they hear nothing from these people and these mining people. So they have an SOS that goes out, and they send this ragtag bunch of people to go investigate. And when they get there, all they see are the mining facilities and the main building area, but it's empty, except for there's blood streaks, and then there's this one iPad kind of a thing sitting there with this little cryptic message about don't trust the boy. And then they end up going into they go to the mining place, to where all the miners were working, and they find just a giant pile of dead bodies. They're frozen solid because it's space. They're dead, and they can't figure out what's going on. So they have to pull one of them up to do an autopsy, and then horrible things happen, and they realize, are they dead? I don't know how dead they really are. And it just is constant. It is like run, run, run. Oh my God, somebody's going to die. Somebody gets infected. Now we have to run, run, run the other way. And then we have to run over here. And then there's this boy who's been there the whole time. And he has a bit of a secret as well. He knows a little about what's going on. And then the last little twist in the whole thing is one of the people there that was sent to rescue is this older doctor woman who actually lived on that planet whenever she was a little girl, and her parents died under mysterious circumstances. And she may know a little something about what's going on. And,
so it's like Doom meets Resident Evil.
Okay. Yes.
Yes. Watch Doom. It is Doom, Doom, really awful movie, but it's similar. And then Resident Evil. Put those together and you have Contagion.
It's good. It's a really, really good book.
They
had me at zombies
on the blood or the gory details. Like it's got some gross moments, which I'm like,
that's the best part.
We have to prepare for zombie apocalypse. You have to read this book. That's all. Time out.
In space. Okay, next book.
I don't care. We're in space. We're the third planet from the sun. Okay, let me go back. Let's go to the next book.
oh,
We already did that one. I like it though.
Just real quick, I was very impressed with how accurate she had them reacting to active shooter protocols. I will just say, I was like, I felt myself nodding as I was reading. I was like, yes, that's accurate. Yes, that is exactly right. So
they would not die. No.
So
I love it. No, I love April Henry. I'm super excited. I'm really excited about the girl in the van.
yes,
White van. The girl in the white van, right?
the white van. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh my gosh, people. I love Cassandra Clare. Like, if she writes something, I'm going to read it. Like, I love her so much. So she wrote a bunch of different series. But the cool thing is about Chain of Gold is it starts a whole nother series. So you don't have to read her other ones. But if you haven't, oh my gosh, you're missing out. So she's written the Clockwork Angel series. And then she's written the City of Bone series, which, guys, if you watch the Freeform show Shadowhunters, the books are way better, always better. So Chain of Gold is it is her newest Shadowhunter series, and then so you have it's the kids of the other books. So I was swooning because I was like, oh my gosh, this is so and so and so and so's kid. But you don't have to read all that because the story alone is just really good. So of course you've got amazing girl fighter, and the reason they're so good at fighting is because they have a little bit of angel blood in them. So they're human, but then they have a little bit of angel blood, and so that almost makes them like superheroes. They can jump faster, they can fight better, they get these special symbols that give them special powers, and so their job is to essentially fight evil for all these mortal people that don't know that what's going on. They call them mundanes. Don't be mundane, people. Anyway, so these shadow hunters are epic warrior people that are part angel, no wings though. They just have all the skills. And so they're out there fighting. But the biggest thing in this is you have James, and he calls his group of people the Merry Thieves, which, oh my gosh, if I was a teenager again, I would want to know all of them, all of the Merry Thieves, because she paints them a really pretty picture. And then you have, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting already. This is awful. I'm looking at my notes because I'm dying here. I don't know. So anyway, so main girl, main boy, and then enter evil girl. But of course, the boy's madly in love with her. And then they fight a bunch of demons and epic battles. And then you find out the girl is evil, but he never knows. And she's like controlling him. But I'm not going to tell you because it's going to ruin the story. But anyway, really awesome. Super pumped. Like, it would be great for boys too, because seriously, it's a lot of action and fighting. But then of course, you've got that romantic interest, a super high fantasy. Angels, lots of demons and bad guys. It's awesome. Okay.
Fun fact about Cassandra Clare: did you know that she makes some of her own clothes?
Yeah, and someone told me that's not her real name.
Oh, really?
That's a pig name. Like, although I read it on Facebook, so don't quote me.
She's super cool.
On the internet. And Abraham Lincoln says, don't believe everything on the internet.
Right.
Hold
Wasn't
up.
he the vampire hunter?
I love that book.
But I digress. Okay, so there's my oldest boy. He just got married. So there's my beautiful daughter-in-law. His name is Kyle. This book, Because You Love to Hate Me, is a book devoted to the villains of literature. And so what they've done is they've gotten all of these booktubers who submitted challenges to YA authors to write a story, an original story about some villains. So for instance, one of them was, what if the sea witch had been in the Little Mermaid's shoes and ended up having to kill the love of her life to get back to being a mermaid? So it kind of turns into being like the sea witch's, Ursula's origin story. There's a Medusa mashup. There's Hades / Death wakes up after being unconscious at the bottom of a well. There's a King Arthur mashup with Persephone, Hades storyline. Like, these are all challenges they gave to the YA authors. And they're really, really well done. But that's not the only thing about that book that I love. After every single one of the stories, the booktuber comes in and throws in a comment story with it. So like, one of them, after reading the challenge that her YA author did, she wrote a little thing called The Evil Vaccine. And it's like reflecting on all the things that a villain of literature would do to be evil. So it's kind of like, if you're prone to stroking cats while you think, you may be an evil villain. If you've added Lord to your name, you may be an evil, silly things like that. And then there's one called a Bad Girl Hall of Fame, where they put all these Twitter posts up of like the profiles of like Persephone, and she's like, sorry, not sorry. And then anyway, there's a lot of really good things that the booktubers do go in between the stories. Jesse the Reader is on there, Sasha Alsberg, who is really popular.
Marissa Meyer.
I
saw her on there. Marissa Meyer.
Yes, she wrote one. Yes, there's a lot of really good ones in there. And so I really enjoyed it because I could read my favorite authors, but then those booktubers, which I were unfamiliar with, some of them, they were hilarious. And so I just went out and started following them too. So anyway, kind of fun.
Oh, good. We have some viewers who have seconded this. What about my books? No, I'm just kidding. No, I love that. That makes me super excited. Miss Harris, you're so good at talking about books.
Aw. That's because I'm old.
Do you like
and wise, and what are other words we can use?
You can unshare your screen now if you want.
I know. I just wanted them to see the beginning again.
Oh, okay.
To see that title again. That cover's beautiful.
Oh, of the book, that one.
Forged. It's fine. I just like the cover. It's pretty. You can see it. Anyway.
Well, guys,
okay. I think I'm most excited about reading Forged in Fire and Stars, only because I was actually reading about that earlier tonight, and I was like, oh my gosh, a blacksmith with godlike abilities. Like, I'm super excited about that one.
She's super. I can't think of a better word for it. She's awesome.
I need to get back into some Cassandra Clare books. I read the first 3 of original series, and then I stopped because it kept going. I've got a lot of other books I need to read.
Clockwork Angel isn't as long though. I like that one a lot. But no, Chain of Gold, you're good. Like, she probably won't even write more than 3 books in it.
Okay. Well, I'm excited about all of these books. I was excited because we got to see April Henry, and I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I just want everybody who's watching to know that we're still out there actively trying to get some authors to come in. Thanks to Lauren Stetler for going on Twitter and getting April Henry here for us tonight. That was pretty fun. I enjoyed that. And I'm really excited for next week. I got to go find a few more books that I want to talk about.
Every Tuesday at 8 p.m. We would love to see you here. Tell your friends. They don't have to be from Keller. Like, I want someone from Australia to watch and to comment and say really cool, awesome Australian things to me. So I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding. Not kidding. So let everybody know. And you can also go back and watch this. If you forgot the name of a book, it's always going to be on the kellerisd.net /great reads. You can go watch last week's episode. and then rewatch this one and just enjoy us.
And if you have any book recommendations for us to talk about it in another one, those of you who know our emails, email us, hit us up on Twitter, Instagram, whatever, and we'll read them and talk about them and get your opinion as well.
Yay! All right,
Bye,
guys.
Guys.
Can't wait to see you till next time.
Bye.
Bye.